Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos. So just going to give you some latest news regarding David De Gea, and it's actually now very bad news. So recent reports have been indicating now saying that David De Gea could be out for the game on Sunday against Liverpool. Now it hasn't actually been fully assured that he will miss the game, but it just mentioned that he could be out because David De Gea it's been confirmed has sustained an injury whilst he was on international duty with Spain. Like I mentioned, is unknown, the extent of the injury. So what I mean is, we don't know how severe it is. I think, I think he has got some kind of a hamstring problem, but like I mentioned, hopefully, his injury is not too severe. As David De Gea, Spain did draw 1-1 with Sweden in Stockholm, and David De Gea, of course, had to come off in the second half with injury. But like I mentioned, we have got quite a lot of injuries and that, but I think, the vast majority of our players that are injured, should, well, the vast majority of them, should regain full finish, for the game against Liverpool on Sunday. So the vast majority of them, I expect it, should be back. But like I mentioned, David De Gea, he's very imperative. Obviously, David De Gea has been at Manchester United 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player, so he has been a long serving at the football club. And like I mentioned, overall, I think David De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world. At this present time, he isn't the best goalkeeper in the world because I don't think he's been too good this season. He was making costly mistakes towards the back end of last season, but I think prior to that, I think he's had a good career with Manchester United, but he was mainly making them costly mistakes towards the back end of last season, mainly, to do with the contractual situation. But like I said, he has been here since the Alex Ferguson era, but I think David De Gea has had, 7 good years out of the 8 years, he has been at Manchester United. He's not far away now from making 400 appearances for the club in all competitions. And yeah, don't forget, David De Gea is the highest paid at the football club. He's also the highest paid goalkeeper in the world because he is on around £375,000 a week. Don't forget, we did give him that new long-term contract. He did sign a 5-year it was a 4-year contract with an option of further a year. So it's obviously if David De Gea can't play on Sunday, I do believe that we will go with Sergio Romero in goal because obviously Sergio Romero is our second choice goalkeeper. Obviously he does play in the cup games, in the Europa League games, and that does Sergio Romero. Like I mentioned, he isn't reliable enough, to become our number one goalkeeper. Obviously we've got Lee Grant, he's one of the backup options, but hopefully, David De Gea, can play on Sunday. The good news is though, Anthony Martial, Luke Shaw, Paul Pogba and Bissaka are all expected to return for the game on Sunday. We do know that obviously Anthony Martial and Luke Shaw both have not played for Manchester United since our 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace earlier on in the season. We do know that Anthony Martial has been out with a thigh injury, Luke Shaw has been out with a hamstring injury, and we do know that they are two imperative players. And Anthony Martial, he enjoyed a great start to the season, obviously before he sustained the injury. And I think, like I mentioned, if Martial can avoid sustaining any more injuries and he can keep the consistency up, I think he can score from between 15 to 20 goals this season, in my opinion. Martial now is into his 5th season at the football club. He has scored over 50 goals for the club in all competitions. Obviously, if he can play against Liverpool, which I think he will be, it will bring back a lot of memories for him because don't forget, Anthony Martial scored on his Premier League debut against Liverpool back under Louis van Gaal, which was I think in 2015, because we did get Anthony Martial as a 19-year-old. Of course, he is now 23. But like I said, I think he will become a success at Manchester United. It got confirmed at the start of the season that anyway he's been given that number 9 shirt because he does seem to be more effective in that number 9 position, even though he predominantly plays out wide on the left. So yeah, it will be good to see him come back in because he will add more fluidity in that attacking line. He'll add that inspiration, and yeah, very happy. Luke Shaw, like I mentioned, he's our first choice left back. He's also missed the last 6 or 7 games for Manchester United with injury. Like I mentioned, a lot of people talk about Luke Shaw being injury prone, and we know that he's injury prone. Is Luke Shaw. he is injury prone, but I think, prior to his injuries and his bad spelling under Mourinho, I think he's been mainly consistent for Manchester United as Luke Shaw. He won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. So it will be good to see him back in contention. And Bissaka, like I mentioned, he has been out with illness. He has been out of illness as Bissaka. Like I mentioned, he's been a lot of people believe he's been one of our most consistent signings. I will agree on that aspect, because I think he has been one of our most consistent signings. He's missed the last 2 league games. He's missed the last 3 in all competitions, because as you all know, he has been suffering from tonsillitis. But it will be good to see him, back in contention. With Paul Pogba, we know there was reports speculating out earlier on this week saying that Paul Pogba could miss the game against Liverpool this Sunday. Obviously, with his ongoing foot injury that has been surrounding the player for a number of weeks now. And it also said that fitness staff could fear that Paul Pogba could be out until the end of this month or until the beginning of November. But like I did mention, we have got games coming up thick and fast. We've got Liverpool on Sunday. After Liverpool, we've got I think Partizan Belgrade in the Europa League. Then after that, we've got Norwich away, and then after that I think it's Chelsea at the end of the month in the Carabao Cup, and obviously we want Paul Pogba available for them games. But yeah, I think he should be available for the game on Sunday, and that should Paul Pogba. But yeah, I think he's missed 5 of our last 7 games as Paul Pogba, due to injury. Don't forget, he did play the full 90 minutes against Rochdale in the Carabao Cup. He also played against Arsenal, did Paul Pogba, but obviously, he didn't look fully fit in them games. I think, Paul Pogba is one of the players that probably, will end up leaving Manchester United in January or next summer, because I still believe he wants out of the football club like he did do for the entirety of the summer. Obviously, his preference was a move to Real Madrid, and more than likely, Madrid will reignite their interest in January. Recent reports have indicated out saying that obviously Man United have become infuriated with Paul Pogba's contract. Obviously, reports were speculating out not too long ago saying that Paul Pogba was demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from the football club. If he was to extend his contract at Man United, 600 grand a week equates to around £30 million a year. I can't see Man United, willing to meet his wage demands, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But Paul Pogba in his current deal at the moment is on around 290 grand a week. So in that aspect, he is still one of the highest paid players at the football club, and he's got 2 years left on his current contract, with an option to extend it by a further year. But, we have seen, Paul Pogba at his best as a Manchester United player. We mainly saw the best of Paul Pogba in that 3-month period when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. But Paul Pogba, analysing the majority of his Man United career since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016, he has been mainly inconsistent in comparison to his time, when he was at Juventus, because he did have 4 good years in Turin. But Paul Pogba's still 26 years of age, so he's still in his prime. He has still got a lot of development in him. I think Man United have also held negotiations with his agent Mini Raiola over the possibility of extending his contract, and obviously to discuss his future and that at the football club. But I explained why Paul Pogba didn't make his move to Real Madrid in the summer, was obviously reflecting on the substantial amount we put on him, because we quoted out that we wanted around 180 million. Obviously, Real Madrid were not willing to pay that, and I think we're adamant he's not for sale in January, and if we had to soften our stance on Pogba in January, we would probably demand a similar sort of a figure, because obviously Man United paid £89 million for him. There has obviously been a lot of talks going on recently again about, Toni Kroos and Paul Pogba as being part of a swap deal. Whether Manchester United will go along with this or not, I do not know. But yeah, he should be available to play on Sunday night. But we do know the difference he does make in that midfield. We know the difference in that midfield when you do take Paul Pogba out of the equation. Like I said, Victor Lindelof, he was also out with a back injury. He should be definitely available for the game on Sunday. I think the only game he's missed this season in the Premier League is the 1-0 defeat to Newcastle, Victor Lindelof. Because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice centre backs are Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire. And analysing it, I think they've blended in very, very well together in our back line. I think Victor Lindelof's had a couple of bad games this season, but I think prior to that he has done really, really well. He's now into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. Jesse Lingard's obviously, as you all know, been out with a hamstring problem as well. He's another player that really needs to step up to the plate, because they have been, very disappointed with him. And like I mentioned, reflecting on Jesse Lingard's status at the football club, he needs to be he should be putting much more better performances out. I think Lingard's now 27, 28 years of age, but he really needs to step up to the plate. Like I mentioned, Rashford, wasn't injured, not too long ago. Was injured not too long ago. He'd been out with a groin problem and that. And he's another player, that really needs to step up to the plate, Marcus Rashford, because, he hasn't, performed to the standards as we all expected. And he's mainly enjoyed a difficult time at Manchester United this season, obviously in comparison to his time when he first broke into the senior squad. But for me, he's still the long-term solution for Manchester United, is Marcus Rashford. So he's another player that does need the reality check. But like I mentioned, I think the vast majority of our players do need reality check, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Fosu Mensah is obviously he's another player that's injured. He's actually been out of injury for quite some time now. Fosu Mensah did return to the club earlier on in the summer, obviously because he was on loan with Fulham last season, where I think he actually sustained this knee injury. But I think he's actually not far away now from regaining full fitness. But yeah, we have had quite a lot of injuries. Diego Dalot, he's another player. He's actually sustained quite a few injuries this season. I do believe Dalot needs to be given more time at the football club, because obviously, this is his, he's only been at the club, since last summer. He's played a couple of times this season. I think he's played about 2 or 3 times. He did play in the 1-0 defeat to Newcastle, but obviously, came off injured. But yeah, sustained quite a few injuries and that. But yeah, so we're expected to see around 3 or 4 key players, return for the game against Liverpool, which is very good news. But we are aware, this is a game that Manchester United do need to win against Liverpool. Like I mentioned, it's going to be a very tough game. Liverpool, are on fire. Liverpool have not yet lost this season. They've played 8. They've won 8 out of 8. They've registered 24 points for possible 24, and they do have a 100% record so far this season. And like I mentioned, even though Liverpool are strides ahead of us at the moment, they are strides ahead of us. They're about 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ahead of us. Manchester United and Liverpool is still always a massive game, because they are the 2 most successful clubs in England. Historically. Overall, I think Liverpool have won 43 trophies. Manchester United, of course, have won 42. But obviously Liverpool are aware of their expectations, and their expectations will be to win the Premier League, because they've come close on quite a few occasions to winning it. They was unlucky last season not to win it, just got picked by Manchester City. They came close back under the Brendan Rodgers era back in 2013-14. He had a good season with Liverpool back in 2013-14 and that. So they have come close on quite a few occasions. But I think it's going to be their year this year, to be quite honest with you. Liverpool are sitting 8 points clear at the top, ahead of Man City. They are 15 points in front of us. They've actually never won the Premier League, as you all know. Liverpool, they haven't won it at all. Liverpool have not won the Premier League at all since it got founded in 1992 or 1993, was it? They haven't won it all in all for 3 decades. But Man United, we've won 20 titles. Liverpool have won 18 all their first divisions. Obviously, Jurgen Klopp, he has done a really good job with Liverpool. Obviously winning his first major honour last season. Obviously, winning the Champions League. Liverpool have now won 6 Champions Leagues. Before Jurgen Klopp was at Liverpool, he did win a couple of titles with Borussia Dortmund, but he has done a really good job then. But like I mentioned, Liverpool have done really well. They've been sensible with their recruitment. Like I mentioned, didn't get anyone in the summer, but in the previous windows they did really good investment, and that they paid around 75 million for Van Dijk. He's actually the best centre half in the world. They got Allington in. I think at this present time you can say he's the best goalkeeper in the world, but not overall. Liverpool have got a fantastic attacking trio in Salah, Firmino and Mane. They combine with each other really well. They complement each other well, should I say. They score goals between them. They're good at creating chances. I think Liverpool's midfield's very good, and they show good attacking intent. So we really have to be on our game against Liverpool. And Liverpool have got 2 fantastic fullbacks through Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robinson. A lot of people say Andrew Robinson is regarded as one of the best fullbacks in the world. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very tough game. And like I mentioned, Liverpool's record at Old Trafford is, actually very, very poor. They've only won twice at Old Trafford in the Premier League in the last 10 years. The last time they did beat us in the league at Old Trafford was back in 2014 under the David Moyes and Moreira. Liverpool did beat us in that particular game by 3-0. The game, obviously, was 0-0 last season. But yeah, it's always a massive game. It's Manchester United and Liverpool. And Liverpool, have had quite a few injuries as well. I think, they've had Alisson out of injury, but I think, he should be available for Sunday for them. Salah's obviously been out, I think, with an ankle problem, but he should be available for Sunday. Obviously, Nathaniel Klein's out for Liverpool. He's out until I think January. He's actually an injury-prone player. They've also got Shaqiri out with a calf problem. I think they've also got Joe Matip out. So they have got quite a few injuries, but nowhere near to the extent of how many injuries Man United have had and got on that. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very good game. I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's our 9th game of the Premier League season, but this is a game Manchester United, of course, have got to win, because I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware of this pressure he's under at the football club. Obviously you've got the vast majority of Manchester United fans demanding him out. Obviously a lot of industries in that believe he will be gone by Christmas. But I think he recently said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job is safe at Manchester United at this present time, or at least for the next couple of games, because the reports were reflecting out the other week saying if we was to suffer a heavy defeat on Sunday to Liverpool, that would put Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job in serious jeopardy at the football club. But I think it actually mentioned the Norwich game, which is obviously towards the back end of this month. If we obviously are to lose that, that could be enough, to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously, it has been revealed how much Manchester United will have to pay to get rid of Solskjaer, and it's been revealed that we'll have to pay around £7 million in compensation, which is obviously around half than what we paid to get rid of Jose Mourinho, because we paid around £20 million to get rid of Jose Mourinho, if you do remember rightly. But yeah, he's under serious pressure at the football club, and I think Solskjaer fears himself that if we finish at the top 6 this season, then he believes that he could be sacked by the football club. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware of the expectations he needs to exceed at the football club, and I didn't just say our expectations will be to finish in that top 4. So in that aspect, we can't get back into the Champions League, because obviously we failed to qualify for the Champions League last season, and obviously I think that was one of the main factor reasons that went against us during the summer, because obviously if you're not in a Champions League football, then obviously it's going to be hard to attract players to the elite level. And this is why I said during the summer that a lot of players had element of concerns about joining the football club. But I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure, to become successful at Manchester United, but it isn't going to become successful at Manchester United, because, like I mentioned, he hasn't got any intuition as a manager, and what I mean is, he hasn't really got that managerial experience, to the highest level, because obviously before he came to United, he only managed Mould, won a couple of Norwegian titles with them. Obviously, was at Cardiff, if you do remember rightly. He only had a really, really short tenure with Cardiff. Did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think he only managed around 30 games for them. Obviously, ended up getting them relegated and that. And, a lot of people believe he could replicate at Manchester United what he did with Cardiff, if he is to remain in the job. Some Man United fans fear that he could get us relegated. I don't see that happening, like I mentioned, the club's too big, and, we haven't been relegated since, 1974, which is obviously over 40 odd years ago now. But yeah, so he's definitely under serious pressure at the football club. Obviously, Solskjaer is making plans for January, to see who else he can recommend in to the football club. I think Solskjaer has been assured money to spend in January if he is still, of course, Manchester United manager. I think he has given Ed Woodward around 6 potential transfer targets. 6 potential transfer targets, and that. But I think, we'll do the vast majority of our transfer business next summer. I don't think, we'll do the vast majority of it, in January, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, and like I mentioned, I think we need at least 5 to 6 more signings, if we are to back to being a competitive elite level football club. And, recent reports did say that Man United are prepared to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with 8 new signings over the course of the next 2 summers if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, is to be still Manchester United manager, because we know that a massive rebuild is definitely needed at the football club. But I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspect that he did recommend 3 good players to the squad during the summer. We spent nearly £150 million on that, on Daniel James and Bissaka and on Harry Maguire. And it is good in the aspect that we did address some of the problematic areas, and that we got that experienced centre half in that we needed. We got that right back in, but during the course of the summer, we didn't address all of the problematic areas. But like I mentioned, it was always going to be hard for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window. But like I mentioned, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. Obviously we're just sitting 2 points above relegation, and you can quite frankly say at the moment, we are facing a relegation battle. Like I mentioned, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, has enjoyed the difficult seven-month tenure with Manchester United, because obviously overall Solskjaer has been at the football club now for around 10 months. So he's been at Manchester United just under a year. Obviously, don't forget when Solskjaer first came in, he was the interim manager at Manchester United, and he was the interim manager for 3 months. And in that 3-month period, he did really, really well, because, the results were good. The performances were good. He exceeded expectations and that, and he even won 14 games out of 19 in total. And he did get the job permanently back in March earlier on this year. But since he did get the job permanently, everything has just seemed to have all gone wrong. We've only won 5 of our last 23 games in all competitions. But that was one mistake from the football club. Giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job. We should have never given him the job. And in a way, I do feel sorry for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I think the club have put him in a very, very difficult position. And I think Manchester United and the board and that are only sticking with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at this present time is because he was a club legend. Obviously he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and that, and he's got that proven pedigree as a player, but he just hasn't got it as a manager. So that's the element of concern I have got about him. But the board definitely won't stick with Solskjaer. Obviously, we've already got managers, like I mentioned, on our agenda, who could replace him at the football club. But like I do keep mentioning, due to our inconsistency, and I think, everyone needs to take the blame. So what I mean is, Solskjaer's got to take some responsibility, because, some of the blame does stem from him, because, his tactics are questionable, and I will admit, we are tactically inept. I think, also some of the blame does stem from a lot of the players, because they're not playing with any heart, any desire, or any passion. I think we're lacking leaders in the team. We're struggling to create chances. We've failed to register a single shot on target in the last 2 games. And we're not scoring enough goals. I think also some of the blame stems from Ed Woodward, because I think he's also been a liability for a number of years. And I think also a lot of the blame stems from the board, because I think, like I do keep mentioning, the board have been a liability for a number of years now. The board, didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, during the summer. They didn't back him enough during the summer, and a lot of people are criticising the board. But the board, they've been a liability, with their poor recruitment and, their poor selection of managers. And what I think the board need to do, I think they need to assure structural changes at Manchester United, and whether they can assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. But despite our disastrous start to the season, you're still getting, certain Manchester United fans, that are backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There's still some saying, we should give him at least a couple more windows, to see who else he can recommend to the football club. Now, obviously, you can still quite frankly say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United team, because obviously analysing the majority of this Manchester United team, it isn't Jose Mourinho's, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, sorry. The vast majority of this team is Jose Mourinho's, because obviously Mourinho recommended 11 players into the football club, and Solskjaer, of course, is still inheriting the vast majority of them. He's still inheriting players, some players here from the Van Gaal era, there's still Matty from the David Moyes era, there's still a couple of players here from the Alex Ferguson era, and you've had former Manchester United players like Rio Ferdinand recently coming out, Ryan Giggs and that, saying that, Solskjaer, should be given more time at the football club. Rio Ferdinand says, in his opinion, Manchester United would be naive to sack Solskjaer. And Giggs says, we need to give him more time. We need to get at least 4 or 5 more players in if the glory days, are to return at the football club. So that's obviously, their current opinion on it all. If Solskjaer, is still to be here by January, obviously I think he does want to recruit young British players, to the football club, like he did do earlier on in the summer. But I said, at the start of the summer, maybe Manchester United, we should orchestrate on, being sensible with our recruitment, because it's not always about spending big on players and getting them Galactico players and that. It's not always about doing that, because it doesn't always provide you with success, and that's been proven with Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years. Yeah, and a lot of people believe us getting rid of Solskjaer now anyway, wouldn't solve a lot of problems at the football club. But yeah, something has to change at Manchester United. But yeah, we are massive underdogs, going into the game on Sunday anyway. In my opinion, I think Liverpool are going to win, quite comfortably. Like I said, a lot of players, have now left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. A lot of players have left, like I mentioned, Italy has been a very popular destination for the vast majority of our players that have left this summer. But I still believe, despite the fact a lot of players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe, there is more problematic players at the football club that do need to be moved on in January or next summer, without a shadow of a doubt. But I think in January we definitely need to get a midfielder in. We need to reinvest in that midfield, because that's one of the priority areas where Man United need to strengthen up. I think, we also need a striker. We need someone that can add we need someone who can bring fluidity in that attacking line, someone who can obviously, be more effective in the box, and that. We need to recruit a replacement basically for Romelu Lukaku, because obviously following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, we do look exposed in that attacking line. So definitely, there's still areas in the squad, that do need to be addressed without a shadow of a doubt. But like I mentioned, I think we are actually considering loaning quite a few of the young upcoming players out in January. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is considering, doing this, because, like I mentioned, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. And, I've got some element of concerns about certain young upcoming players. It will be beneficial to maybe loan some of them out and that, because it will gain them more experience. Maybe because they're not good enough to represent Manchester United, I don't know. But the young players that have been mentioned has been Chong, Gomez and Garner. There could be the 3 that will be loaned out in January. But what I can assure is that I think Mason Greenwood, will become a successor for Manchester United, because Mason Greenwood has done really, really well in the games he has played in this season. Obviously, Mason Greenwood has he's made 6 substitute appearances so far in the Premier League this season, so he's yet to start a game from the start in the Premier League. But like I mentioned, by the time Mason Greenwood's 23, 24, I think he can be a world-class centre-forward for Manchester United. And don't forget, he only turned 18 years of age at the beginning of this month. But yeah, and Solskjaer did actually show that Greenwood will get more minutes under his belt, if he does keep the consistency up and that, which is obviously now very, very good. But yeah, very, very good player. But he will be a success. I think also Alex Tuanzebe will be a success. So I have the same thoughts of what I've got about Mason Greenwood. And Alex Tuanzebe's played quite a few games this season. I think in the games he has played in, he has been very, very impressive. As you all know, he was on loan with Aston Villa last season. But Tom and Wayne, he could also, become a success at the football club. In regards to McTominay being a long-term solution, I've got concerns about that. But I think so far this season he's done really, really well. And he's actually been a first-team regular. He's been a regular first-team starter this season. And he has deserved to keep his place in the team, reflecting on his impressive performances. I think he had a bad game against Newcastle. But I think prior to that, he has done really, really well this season as Scott McTominay. But he's still only 22 years of age. With Fred, maybe Fred needs to be given more time at the football club because he's only been here since last summer. You know, Manchester United paid just under £50 million for Fred from Shakhtar Donetsk. He hasn't performed to the same sort of level, you know, as he did at Shakhtar Donetsk because my opinion, I thought, you know, Fred was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk and that. But yeah, you know, he's had a good couple of games here and there for Man United, but he hasn't really, you know, been the player as we would have liked. You know, a lot of United fans believe, you know, he isn't good enough to represent Manchester United and that. But yeah, I don't know if he's a long-term solution for the football club. We've got Jimmy Garner, like I mentioned. You know, he's another one of the young upcoming players. Like I mentioned, he's been one of the names that could be loaned out in January. I don't think he's yet played this season. He did play throughout pre-season a couple of times. Chong, I think he definitely needs to be loaned out anyway. He's totally comparison to Mason Greenwood. And don't forget, Chong received loan offers this summer from PSV and his former club, Feyenoord. But he obviously, you know, turned them loan offers down. Solskjaer did actually assure that Mason Greenwood, you know, Chong will get more opportunities this season. But yeah, you know, like I mentioned, Solskjaer has actually, you know, got a lot of trust with him and his young players, so I will, you know, credit him in that aspect. Yeah, and like I mentioned, yeah, and you know, a lot of money has been spent at Manchester United. You know, like I mentioned, a hell of a lot of money has been invested into the football club over the years. You know, since the Alex Ferguson era, I think around 700, 800 million pounds has been spent on players and that, and that's just under £1 billion. And you know, that's not taking into account, you know, what was spent under the Alex Ferguson era. Because, like I mentioned, you know, Ferguson, you know, did buy players, but he also developed a lot of young players. He also controlled the transfer policy. He also controlled the contracts and all that. And, you know, we had 26 years of success under him. And I did say Solskjaer definitely can't invoke Ferguson's legacy to save him at Manchester United. I think regardless of our managers, you know, no one will ever invoke Alex Ferguson's legacy in that. But, you know, I did say now in this generation, managers don't get the time they would have liked, because taking into account, you know, back in, you know, the old generation, you know, Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years, where obviously, you know, when we recommended him into the football club and that, and you know, he was actually on the verge of getting the sack, but he didn't. And then look what Ferguson, you know, went and accomplished. You know, we had 20 odd years of success under him. Well, like I mentioned now, this is no longer the Ferguson era. You know, this is a different era with different players and different groups and that, you know, we are building. And I said I hope this team, this day and age, can try and, you know, replicate what the team did under Alex Ferguson and that. But obviously, you know, it isn't going to happen. But yeah, a lot of money's being spent at Man United. Not only a lot of money's being invested into the football club, you know, we've also got players on big contracts and that. Like I mentioned, you've got Rashford on 300 grand a week. You know, you've got Martial on 200 grand a week. You've got Pogba on 290 grand a week. De Gea on 375 grand a week. Harry Maguire on around 200 grand a week. You know, you've got Jesse Lingard on just over 100 grand a week. So we have got players on big contracts at the football club, like I mentioned. But, you know, like I do keep saying, reflects on the history of the club anywhere. You know, we should be, you know, in much more of a commanding position than we're in now, because we are the most successful team in England historically. You know, we've won 42 trophies overall. Obviously, the vast majority of the silverware we won came under Ferguson, because we won around 38 trophies under Alex Ferguson. But yeah, you know, we can't, you know, put up with this, you know, bad run of form, you know, any longer. But like I mentioned, there is a list of managers on our agenda that could replace Solskjaer. Like I updated you yesterday, there was a lot of talks going on about Laurent Blanc. Obviously, reportedly, he's keen on replacing Solskjaer at Manchester United. Obviously, he's managerless at the moment. Well, he's actually been managerless, you know, since he since he stepped down as PSG manager back in 2016. Laurent Blanc did serve 3 years with PSG, by the way. Before I was at PSG, he managed a France team for a couple of years, and before I was there, he managed Bordeaux for around 3 years. He actually began his managerial career with Bordeaux. During his playing career, you know, Laurent Blanc did actually play for Manchester United. He served a couple of years with the club. This was obviously back under the Alex Ferguson era at the time. So you'll know bits about the football club. Recently, Laurent Blanc was linked with a vacant managerial position at Lyon, but I think someone's now got the Lyon job, so he can't walk into the Lyon job because I think he struggled to agree terms, with Lyon. But I think he's looking, to get a job as Laurent Blanc. But I don't think he's a likely, candidate to come in. I think actually Max Allegri is a likely candidate to come to Manchester United if Solskjaer is to be sacked. Because I think he's actually, the club's top priority to replace Mulligan and Solskjaer. Because there has been a hell of a lot of talks going on about Max Allegri in the last 2 to 3 weeks at least. I think he did pinpoint out that, he would be interested in coming into Manchester United. Reportedly, he said, he's demanding Patrice Evra to be on his coaching staff, if he is to become the new boss in Manchester United. Reports the other week said, he would take over at Manchester United if he was to be assured to be given the job within the next few weeks. Max Allegri, of course, is in his 50s. He hasn't been managerless that long. He only stepped down as Juventus manager at the end of last season. Obviously, he served 5 years with Juventus, did Max Allegri. He served 5 years with them. Obviously, the vast majority of silverware he won came at Juventus. But obviously, so far, he's actually spent the entirety of his managerial career in Italy with Juventus. Well, in Italy overall, obviously, when he began his managerial career, he managed various Italian clubs and obviously emulated up. And actually, through his playing career, he spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy. And I think recent reports did indicate out that he's learning English in preparation for his potential move. So I think he's a likely candidate to come into Manchester United. Also, Pochettino, don't forget, went in for Pochettino before Mulligan and Solskjaer got recommended into the football club, don't forget. We inquired about getting Pochettino in. Is there still a possibility, chance that we could reignite our interest in him? He's no longer the club's top priority. He's Pochettino. If we was to go back in for Pochettino, probably more than likely, the club, would have to pay around £32 million. £32 million in compensation and that, to hire him in to the football club. Yeah. To hire him in and that to the football club. But yeah, there is a lot of managers on our agenda, that could replace him and that. But yeah, that's mainly everything to update today, guys. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.